Joining me now in his first interview since his appointment is someone who has been at the center of these negotiations, Special Envoy for Middle East Humanitarian Issues, David Satterfield. He's the former director of the James A. Baker Institute for Public Policy at Rice University and formerly served as U.S. Ambassador to Turkey and Lebanon. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for your service and jumping back into what is a very difficult situation on the ground. I just wanted to start by asking you about the convoys of trucks. We saw the first convoy of trucks. There are reports about another 17 trucks. What can we expect in terms of the timeline of when they may get through the crossing?
Certainly, Jen. President Biden, when he was here last week, made very clear we're focused on several key issues. One is getting a continuous flow of humanitarian assistance into Gaza to meet the legitimate needs of its people. The second is to work to get our American nationals, their families, those who have worked with us in Gaza, safely out. Now, we were successful in working with teams in Cairo, here in Israel, with the United Nations to move that very first convoy yesterday, 20 trucks. There are an additional 15 trucks en route today. Our expectation and the substance of our discussion with all sides is that starting tomorrow, you'll be seeing a continuous flow of assistance moving. We want to build that flow up to the levels necessary to begin to meet Gaza's needs. But, Jen, I've got a key point to make here, which President Biden made quite directly. This is for the legitimate needs of the people in Gaza. If Hamas interferes with, seizes, or diverts this assistance, it will, as a practical matter, make it very difficult for this assistance to continue, and it will be another demonstration of Hamas's lack of concern for the welfare of the Palestinian people.
I want to ask you about Hamas as well, and just for clarity, because this is important for people to understand. 15 additional trucks, you expect those to move through tomorrow, it sounds like. Is that correct? And then continuous, does that mean a convoy you're hoping to get through every day? Tonight with the 15, and you're hoping to get through convoys regularly. Tonight. I wanted to ask you just about Hamas. Daily, 15 trucks tonight and daily convoys through, which would be significant. That's very helpful clarity. I wanted to ask you just about Hamas and how you prevent, to the degree you can, Hamas from getting a hold of this aid. How do you make sure it goes to the right people?
Well, the president's very clear messaging, Secretary Blinken has reflected it as well, ought to put Hamas on notice that if it diverts assistance, if it seizes assistance, the assistance as a practical matter is going to be severely hindered, if not stopped. And there ought to be international support in a common expression of concern, real concern for the Palestinian people and against Hamas taking such steps. But at the end of the day, they will bring on themselves, and sadly, the people of Gaza, the consequences of such actions.
I wanted to ask you about fuel, because Israel reportedly has concerns about fuel moving through, that it could be used by Hamas, could be weaponized. Fuel is, of course, also, though, very much needed for the hospitals, for clean water. How close are we to seeing fuel getting into Gaza?
Look, we very much understand the critical role that fuel for these essential humanitarian functions plays. But you have to start somewhere. No assistance of any kind had moved into Gaza since the beginning of this campaign, following the horrific massacre conducted by Hamas. We have begun just yesterday moving medicine, medical supplies, food and feeding assistance, and water. And we're going to continue to make that our focus in the immediate future.
How concerned are you with all of the work that is going on, and you're front and center on, about the access of clean water, accessibility to clean water on the ground? That has been reported as a big, dire situation.
It is indeed, Jen. And we have been working with the Israeli government with respect to the restoration of flow through two key pipelines. One of those pipelines was indeed restored. We're working with them on the status of the other.
The other question I had, you're doing this in very difficult circumstances. Just to restate, there is this likelihood or possibility of a ground invasion. Will that make the delivery of aid impossible? Or how will you still continue to deliver aid if there's a ground invasion?
We will have as robust a capacity to deliver needed assistance through the Rafah crossing to the southern communities of Gaza as we can. Any decision by the Israeli military that involves the north will, of course, have an impact, which is why they have focused, we are focusing on addressing the very significantly increased population of Palestinians in the south of the Gaza Strip.
There were 2 American hostages freed. That's obviously a big development. There are, of course, more being held, but there are also hundreds of Americans who are now trying to get out through the Rafah crossing. Are you encouraged, or should we be encouraged that that is coming soon, given that there has been aid flowing in? Or what should our expectation be on the timeline there?
Well, our expectation is that all foreign nationals, including the almost 1,000 Americans, those with family, the staff who worked for us for our mission in Gaza, will indeed be able to depart as rapidly as possible. Nothing is simple. The issue of movement through Rafah out of Gaza is as complicated as was the movement of humanitarian assistance in. But you're quite right that the opening of the crossing for assistance to head to the people of Gaza was an essential, critical first step towards what we want to achieve, President wants to achieve, which is getting our people out to safety.
Last week, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said it was Hamas that was holding up people being able to depart. Is it primarily Hamas? Are the Egyptians holding it up? Who is preventing people from leaving?
Answer is very simple. It is Hamas, full stop.
It has been, you spent several days in Egypt as a part of your whirlwind tour there over the past couple of weeks. It seems that they are, or there are reports, I should say, that they are afraid to take in Palestinian refugees because of concern Hamas might move with them. We have seen this happen in the past. Is the acceptance of refugees, was that a part of your conversation? Are you hopeful that they will be willing to do that in the near future?
Jen, I have not yet been to Cairo. That's coming up next week. But I can answer your question. The government of Egypt, as a matter of their definition of existential national security, rejects the idea of Palestinian refugees or Palestinian settlement on their soil in the Sinai. This is a long-standing point. I see absolutely no change in it, no change possible. The people of Gaza need to be able to live secure lives in Gaza. And that requires an end to Hamas's ability to govern, to exploit, and to dominate with their terror.
David Satterfield, you have a very difficult job. You have had many difficult jobs in the past. Thank you for your service, and thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.